One of my viewers just sent me a message and asked me what settings he should use with a GoPro Hero 3 Plus on a hike. So I want to answer that question just by showing some samples. Right now I'm shooting in 1080p 30 medium field of view. And this is I usually use 30 frames per second when I'm hiking. It kind of depends on how much action you want to get. If there's lots of things happening, see these leaves falling off the trees here? I like the medium field of view. But now if you're going to a big expansive type place, you might want to go to a wide field of view. So I'm going to go to 30, and I'm also going to do a 48 frame sample here too. Let's go to a 30 frame per second wide field of view in the GoPro Hero 3. Okay, now I'm standing in the exact same place that I left you just a minute ago, and I'm in the wide field of view. This is not super view, this is just wide, 30 frames per second. You can see as I'm walking what kind of motion you're going to get. I'm just actually here on my lunch break at work and walking at the edge of the woods. Beautiful day. Let's go to like super view just for a minute and let you look at what that's going to do. Okay, I'm going to stop right here. Okay, now I'm standing in the exact same place again where I just left off, and this is super view. Now you'll see it's quite a bit more distorted. What you're doing, you're getting a lot more pixels from the top and the bottom packed into a 1080p 16:9 aspect. And at first I thought this was going to be totally useless, but I think if you're, you know, like riding on a motorcycle, or if you're skateboarding, or if you're surfing, then what this does is pretty good. It actually distorts less toward the middle of the frame and kind of more toward the top and bottom and sides, so you're getting a lot of extra pixels packed in there, but it does provide sort of a hyper-realistic, not a totally realistic look at what you're seeing. I'm still in 30 frames per second. I'm going to go to 48 and show you some video there. Okay, now we're in one of my favorite modes to record in and to hike in, whatever. We're in 48 frames per second, 1080p wide view, medium view. I like to use that as well. Now, why do I like this better? Well, let's say you're walking a pretty fast clip. Things tend to not distort, but things tend to blur less as you go by them and they go by you. The other thing too is you're exactly twice the size of 24p, and 24p translates really well to YouTube. You can actually get more data in 24p stream than you can in 30. The only problem is if you shoot in 24, then you get the blur. If you shoot in 48, your frame rate is fast enough that you actually get a lot more frames, and you know that it's shooting the frames faster, and you don't seem to get the motion blur that you would get if you shot in 24. So you can shoot in 48 and downscale to 24, and it looks sharper, less motion blur. Or you can just upload at 48 frames per second. Well, not upload. That is the one problem you have. You can't really upload to YouTube at 48. At least to my knowledge, you can't. Maybe they've changed that. You still have to go to 30, which would be kind of artificially altering your frames. Or you want to go to 24 when you go to YouTube. But this is a good, I mean, it looks really great on your television, your computer screen when you go into this this 48 frame per second. So it's one of my favorites, this right here. Once again, this is another of my very favorite frame rates and sizes to shoot at when I'm out in the wilderness. Let me tell you how I've got it set right now. I'm in 2.7K. Now I'm going to have to size this down. I'm going to have to scale it down so I can put it in a 1080p sequence for YouTube, you know, video for YouTube. But what I'm doing, I'm shooting 2.7K, which is a good bit more pixels than 1080p. I'll put the pixel resolution, it's 2700 or something, it seems like. But 2.7K, and I'm in medium field of view now. I'm not in wide field of view. Now, I like to use medium field of view, 2.7K, because it doesn't distort things as much as going into wide. So it looks actually very natural video. Now if I were at the edge of a big gorge or something, I still might go into wide, but this actually gives you extra pixels you can use if you want to, you know, try to output it as 2.7K. Something interesting, I'm in just the standard 30 frame per second one that's not the one that's still 16:9, not the 17:9 mode. And I've noticed that here lately when I've been uploading 2.7K to YouTube, it's not been accepting it. It's been scaling it down to 1080p anyway. So YouTube changes what they do from time to time. I do not know why. But I like this, and I'll show you another reason too. Since I'm going to export this to 1080p, I've got this scaled down now, what you're watching, to 1080p. I just like changed it to, in Premiere Pro. Now I'm going to go back slowly to regular size, and you'll see that you can create zoom. You can create a fake zoom really just by doing some keyframes in your scale in Premiere Pro CC, or probably any other program you're using too. I'd say even iMovie you can do this. Let me put up the sky here, and you can see you can get a pretty good zoom factor here, in and out, and I'm doing that artificially. My arm is not moving, the camera staying exactly where it is. And of course we all know that the Hero 3 does not have a zoom lens. Now there are some people that are selling them, but if you want to shoot in 2.7K, then you can create that effect. So I'm going to go back in. Okay, the last thing I guess I could talk about is 4K. And so I will just talk about it. I'm not going to put another 4K video out here. It's 15 frames per second. If you're not moving the camera a lot like this, you can see probably right even now you're seeing some blur, right? As long as you're holding your camera fairly steady for these 30 frame per second rates, definitely though with 15 frames per second, you don't want to be probably moving your camera, panning anything more than about like what I'm doing right here now. And then the 15 frames per second looks great, and you can even average it up. You can actually double the pixels and make it go to 30p, and it looks pretty nice. So at any rate, these are just some thoughts I have about what I use when I go out in the wilderness hiking. And you can see I'm not really in the wilderness, I'm close to the hospital where I work. But this hopefully will give you some ideas as things you can do, different frame rates. I'll just try different things when I'm out hiking. I do think you'll be very pleased though with the 2.7K and the 1080p 48 frames per second in wide or medium field of view. If you really want that crazy kind of distorted sort of cool look that gets extra pixels in, you might think about using super view, or you could even still go to just 30 frames per second if you're not going to be hiking very fast. I would say if you're going to be moving a pretty quick clip through the woods, or if you're going to be on your bike, or you're going to you know, just jog parts of your trail, or if you're going to pan around a lot, you'd still want to go probably to 48 frames per second. You'll get better looking video. Thanks, cheers, hope this helps. Y'all be cool.